All right, we are back here on the podcast. Time to reunite the baseball beat. Spring training is here. We're recording on Thursday, the 18th. It may be snowing in New York, but the pitchers and catchers are down in Florida getting ready for the year. First up, the unofficial host of this podcast, watching his New York Rangers right now, Will Schneiderhan. Will, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, if you see my eyes darting back and forth, it's because I got the Rangers on behind this.
Yeah, so we'll track this in real time. What's the score right now this game?
1-0 Flyers coming out of the first intermission. So
Yeah.
they didn't look phenomenal in the first, but let's hope they can start getting some goals.
That Michael Raffle goal was stood up?
Yes, it did. Yeah, I got a few words on that, but yeah. No. Panarin banged one off the crossbar. He almost had one, so we'll see. We'll see how this progresses during this episode. Maybe I'll get increasingly happy or a little bit more annoyed.
Yeah, if he's getting angstier, you know the Rangers are losing by more. Also with us today, Anthony Sorbellini is here, as always. Anthony, how are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. And I got to say, nice you actually rocked the baseball here. I was planning to wearing Mets shirts today, but I completely forgot.
I'm always wearing a hat, so it's pretty odd if I'm not wearing a hat. So figured might as well throw the Yankee hat on today.
I can count on my hands how many times I think I've seen you without a hat. You're right.
Yeah, that's it. That is a rare sight. And now people are seeing it on the Zoom for the first time. Anthony always does rock the hat. And we do have to start out the podcast today with some major breaking news in Major League Baseball. Tim Tebow has officially retired. He will no longer be an option for the Mets. Will, your thoughts?
Well, I thought we were going with the shortstop of San Diego here, but yeah, let's talk about Tim Tebow. My thoughts, I don't really have any. This is exactly how you thought it would end. And good luck to whatever he does now. He wasn't that great of a baseball player, not that great of a quarterback. And maybe, what's he doing? TV now, maybe? So
do some TV.
Good luck, Tim.
I'd say part of me forgot that he was still playing baseball to some capacity. I was like, oh yeah, Tim Tebow.
I mean, they did give him the training camp invite. He was going to be in spring training, so that frees up a spot for somebody guys to contribute to this team in the future.
Yeah. I mean, the move for bringing Tebow in was always a publicity stunt just to get more people in the stands. But there really wasn't a true shot for him to get called up. Now, was there?
Yeah, no. You want to know why? You want to know why that Tim Tebow was on the roster? I can tell you exactly why.
Show me the money.
That's exactly it. They just want that money, and they got a couple years out of it.
Yeah, well, when you got a guy who's going to make maybe $200 million in right, you have Nimmo in center, right, and then you got Dom Smith who's going to have to play left, and I don't think there was ever going to be a way this guy was going to play outfield.
Now we got the Met news out of the way. Let's start with the Mets, the Met offseason. Talk about the top of the show. Will, you and I are on a private group chat with our buddy Martino Puccio, and there is a potential podcast that we're still hashing out if it's actually going to happen or not. But the Met offseason, I think we have to agree here, the best move of the offseason by far was the Lindor trade.
Yeah, kind of an easy one there, right? Yeah, very good. And I know today Martino and I were kind of wishing we saw some more and so on. But I mean, I get where it's tough. But yeah, the best move is definitely Frankie and Carrasco. Just those two in the package trade. Like those are the two best moves in my opinion. And anytime you get a top 5 to 10 player baseball, you're definitely doing something right.
Yeah, Anthony, when you saw that trade happen, what was your reaction?
Jealous, and also, good for the Mets. Like I said, I'm a diehard Yankee fan, but like I said, I love the sport of baseball as a whole. So, it's always good to see, even though they are crosstown rivals, like to see nice and competitive. I want to see the Mets succeed, even though they're not my number one choice, as we all know, as you can see the hat that I'm wearing. But I thought it was good for baseball, good for Lindor, and then just overall good for the Mets. They're kind of been, I guess the laughing stock of New York, especially for the past couple of years. But now they're definitely going to be up and coming.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think the thing that's also interesting is Will talking about the other breaking news that Fernando Tatis Jr. signs this 14-year, $340 million contract. The price tag to keep Lindor just went up quite a bit.
Yeah, but like even in I don't know, I think too, obviously, like that's usually the fallout, but that deal is so unique. And if I'm being completely honest, like not to go off a tangent on there, because I know that's not what we're going to talk about a lot, but that's not that like I would, if I'm the Padres, I made out well there. If he's a player you think he is, you're paying him. I think they said the highest the AAV gets is like 36 at one point, but you're going to give him that in his best years. Like, we always thought Lindor was going to be around, what, a $280 to $300 million guy for tennis, right? And then the numbers they're throwing out, like, it was something like that. But in my honest opinion, like, maybe it went up a little bit, but I personally think that deal that Tatis signed with the Padres is for the Padres is like really good. I mean, my gosh, if I'm getting literally a top 5 to 10 player at age 23 for 14 years for at most 36 a year, around 25 a year, sign me up. And if that's what the Mets, I don't think Lindor touches that above 30, in my opinion, but he's going to get around there. And hey, that's what you got to pay. Again, Lindor's what, 26, 27, going to be playing shortstop hopefully for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think for sure that's a move's going to happen. And this is not Andy Martino saying the Mets don't have to sign Francisco Lindor after they make that trade. They're letting him go to free agency, and it's not happening. They're going to pay him. You do not make that trade to let him walk for the draft pick. You make that trade to make the move and sign the contract. It's going to happen. And Anthony, that would undoubtedly be the worst move the Mets can make. They made that deal and didn't sign him. But as of right now, as the outside observer, what do you think the worst move of the offseason for the Mets was?
The worst move of the offseason. I'll be honest, I haven't really paid that much attention to the Mets, to be completely honest, other than, grabbing Lindor. So I really can't speak to that, to be completely honest.
I'll jump in. By the way, 1-1 Rangers, fellas. We're cooking.
Figured when I saw the fist bump.
But yeah, no, I think I'll phrase it this way to you, Mike. I don't think there was like a worse move, right? I think it was like a lack of a move, right? If that's fair. And I think it was Springer. I do. I go back to this. I know you and I see different, a little bit different on this, and Martino as well when we talk in the group chat. I know the dollar amount was a lot at the end of the day, and there's a lot more they have to do. I completely understand that. It is, in my opinion, the worst move they made is a move they didn't make. And I thought George Springer would be that guy. And I like Chris Bryant. I love to see Chris Bryant. But again, the only reason I'm bringing Chris Bryant up is because you just brought up how the only reason they traded for Lindor was to sign Lindor. I don't know if that's the case with Chris Bryant. So do you rent him for a year, yada, yada, yada. So in my opinion, the worst move is a non-move with George Springer.
Yeah, for me, I want to push back on that because I do think that you and I disagree on this. I feel like George Springer is not the worst thing in the world. They didn't sign him because, they're going to have to give Francisco Lindor a massive contract. They got to give Michael Conforto a big contract. Got to pay pitching at some point. And
a lot of money, definitely, yeah.
George Springer, that's a big contract, and that's a slot that you can't give someone else. If you're keeping George Springer, you don't keep Michael Conforto because you can't give everyone these huge contracts to be able to just move on your feet. It's not opportunity to present themselves. My issue is more that there were opportunities for sort of depth pieces that were bypassed. I don't think they should have been bypassed. Like James Paxton, 1 year, $8.5 million. I think you have to be able to go top that to get that guy in your rotation. Maybe you go pay Trevor Rosenthal for 1 year. I know it's a lot of money, but you know what? There's an opportunity here. Not matching Brad Handle, that's out of their control. I think the lack of the depth moves. I think just not finishing it off, and there still could be some. As of right now, as of recording, they're still possibly in the Taiwan Walker or Jake Odorizzi aisle, the starting pitching market, but it just feels incomplete. And I think a big part of incompleteness, Anthony, is the Trevor Bauer thing, where the Mets and the Dodgers are going head-to-head for him. Feels like at the end of the day, the Mets got used, so you get more money out of the Dodgers. How do you think about that situation? Do you think the Mets dodged a bullet here not getting Bauer?
No, I mean, he's the reigning NL Cy Young. I mean, there's a reason. I think, he was definitely one of the hottest, if not the hottest free agent, especially pitching wise, the best free agent. And he's just going to be a guy, slot in with DeGrom and throw him into that rotation. He's going to immediately change it. So, I mean, with the Dodgers signing him, they're up there in my, up there in the upper echelon of the best moves in the offseason, being that they're coming off a World Series title. And you hear a majority of reigning World Series champions, they end up regressing, losing a lot of guys, but the Dodgers just got better.
Yeah, they did. Will, what do you think about, you and I talked off air about the Bauer stuff. Let's bring it on air.
Well, I just like what Sorbs just said. The Dodgers just got better. Oh my God, they just won the World Series. They just traded for Mookie Betts last year. Like, they're just, that trade or that signing, just phenomenal. And in that group chat, I'm like, there's no way the Dodgers could give him that money. I was like, there's just no way. They did it. So I had a major issue with how it transpired. Like, I know he came out and apologized, and like his agent like tried to like make amends with Mets fans. But I just have like 2 points on that. One, it's New York. Like, that's just never going to be you have to know once you kind of make your bed with fans from New York in that sense, it's never, you can't just be like,
you're done.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Ask Chase Utley, right? But I just thought it was like, dude, just tell us where you sign and get it over with, Like, come on. Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia, Garrett Cole, much better pitchers in free agency that have signed mega deals, have just done it way better. And hey, good luck to him. And if he turns out to be the pitcher that he's been for the most of his career, I guess, not the best signing, but then again, he just won Cy Young, so the Dodgers are rolling with it. So good luck to him.
Yeah, and I think the Mets, you and I took us off there too. The Seth Lugo injury now is such a huge deal because he got surgery right before camp. He's going to be out probably through May because he's going to have to ramp up once he gets the go-ahead in about a month to start throwing. And that bullpen, they did not do much to it. They had Trevor May, and the whole thing was Lugo's going back, and the bullpen's going to be better with Lugo being a two-inning stopgap guy. And with him not there, that's going to be a rough first month for them without him, especially if the starters building up.
Yeah, I think I said it in the group chat how like Trevor May right now isn't necessarily a net gain, right? He's kind of a
net neutral.
Exactly. So that's where it's like, it's great that we got him. And I actually think he's going to do really well. He's like a very under the radar pitcher. But yeah, it's just now he was kind of like one of your headlining guys to add to the bullpen, where now he's just stabilizing it. And like you said, Lugo's like, he had the elbow issue years ago, right? Didn't he have
he's pitching with a partial UCL tear. He hasn't really gotten repaired.
Right. Yeah. Like Tanaka was, I think. It's, that's always scary. So he comes back in, we say May, it could be longer. And it's just one of those things where, yeah, Rosenthal was out there. I'm actually not a huge Rosenthal guy. Like, I know he had like a really good year last year, and I kind of see where they didn't want to do that. But at the same time, for a year, you need the help. Why not just, maybe try to get it done? And I mean, the reliever trade market, I don't know if that's even existing. You're going to pay more for relievers these days than you pay for, perennial MVP outfielders like Christian Yelich. But yeah, or Giancarlo Stanton. But yeah, I'm a little worried about the bullpen just because I don't really there's so many question marks. Like, is Familia going to bounce back? Who knows? Edwin Diaz, can he build off last year? Who knows? Not getting Justin Wilson kind of was a little iffy to me because now the lefties feel a little weird in the bullpen. So I don't know. There's just a lot of one way or the other in that bullpen right now.
Yeah, as far as Trevor Rosenthal, Anthony, I remember you and I went to a Met national game a couple of years ago where he could not throw a strike in the 8th inning, and the Mets just chased him out of the game after that. I'm okay not giving $11 million after watching that performance and seeing a 60-game shortened version of Rosenthal.
I agree.
Yeah, I think last year was just kind of an anomaly. He's kind of been teeter-tottering his entire career, other than that, spurts of 1 or 2 good years.
He has. And let's go around the horn here. Let's go to the offseason grade for the Mets. Will, I'm curious where you landed with them.
So it's like I always am optimistic, but here I'm saying that I wish I kind of saw more. I'm still going to give them like a B+ because my thing is I think the reason some Mets fans are a little upset is because like we set the bar up here, right? Or Sandy set the bar up here, and like they came in around here. I mean, you still added Francisco Lindor, that is huge. You got Carrasco. You brought back Stroman, right? So like hypothetically, let's say Taijuan Walker signs or Jake Odorizzi signs. Your rotation is pretty stabilized in that standpoint. Trevor May is a good ad. Brian McCann. James McCann is. Well, if they sign Brian McCann, it'd be a little different. But yeah, James McCann's a very good catcher. My thing is, I wish you signed in center field, but you got depth options in center field. I wish you kind of went out and got another big arm. Didn't work. A lot of my gripes are just like luxuries. Like, oh, I'm so upset we didn't get George Springer, but we still have good players. So I'm not trying to be too optimistic when I say a B+, but like I can't sit here and be like, oh, it's a C. They only added Francisco Lindor. Come on. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Anthony, outside perspective, what's the Met grade to you for the offseason?
I was in the same exact boat as you, Will. Lindor was such a huge ad, and I'm trying to think of, not the stuff that they missed out, because I definitely think they should have, gone after Bauer and everything, but you can't dismiss them for what they've done, and just building off of everything they've had last year and years before.
Yeah, just jump in for one thing too. They were in on all of them. Hand went elsewhere because he wanted to close, as Mike said, like right when that signing occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Springer, okay, you made an offer, too much money, whatever. Bauer, you offered more, right? And he went somewhere else. People have to look at it. They can't look at it as a miss. They went elsewhere. You're in the fact that the Mets are in on those guys now, that's huge. So
yeah, which is so different compared to years past, where they just be like, oh, okay, there goes a big name guy.
100%. So not even looking at it as like a glass half full guy, like that's literally what it is. So I give it a B. I mean, yes, you got Lindor, and you were in on literally everybody. You had offers for a lot of players and a lot of high offers. So that's it. Yeah. I think it was a good offseason.
Yeah, I think in terms of the offer thing, I'll point out in the past, the Mets would say, oh, we're going to check in on this guy. They probably call him like, oh, you want actual money? No, we can't afford you. So go somewhere else. But I'm a little higher than you. I'm giving them the A- because they didn't really finish land the plane as much. But one thing it does not go reporting of is that this is an organization that they said, we have to make the 40 better. We have to have good depth options on the 40, because Will, you know very well in the past when we had when a guy goes down with an injury and they're bringing up random AAA career outfielder X that to start him for a week and he's hitting sixth in the lineup. Now they're bringing in actual big league guys who have depth and experience to this guy. Look at the options they have in the bullpen. Albert Almora is going to be a AAA out center fielder right now. Like 2 years ago, he's probably starting in center for the Mets. So they're riding the roster out. It's a deeper group. I do think Sandy has an issue where he is a little too attached to his price point, some of these guys. And as I read today, a great quote from a executive for the Dodgers, I think a source said, it's like, hey, if you're going to value every free agent, you're going to finish third for them all the time. You're never going to win one. So there are points where Sandy has to lose the budget aspect a bit, but A-, the team's a lot better than it was last year. They are going to be right in the mix of the division. They will at least make the playoffs, even a 5-team field. So that's the Mets, in my opinion.
I like the rotation depth too, as you brought when you were saying. I like Lucchesi, or I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, Joey Lucchese's in there. Jared Eichhoff is in there. They have other guys in the mix.
Dude from the Marlins.
Jordan Yamamoto.
Yep. So, hey, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and where last year they were pulling Ariel Jurado off the scrap heap, and they were starting Corey Oswald, and they were finding random guys off the street. This is an upgrade.
No offense to Walker Lockett. Seriously, no offense. I hope if he ever hears this, to just take it the wrong way, but night and day difference when you got your like seventh starter as Lucchesi, and then compared to like your fifth swing starter as Walker Lockett. I mean, it is. That's the stuff fans are going to notice right away that they're not thinking about right now, like you just said.
Yeah, let's go to the other side of town. Let's go to the Yankees for a minute, Anthony. And we went for them second because they were much, much quieter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed to say the least. I would have loved to see Trevor Bauer, but I think I remember saying it towards our last show together was I didn't think he fit the Yankee way. It's a little bit too out there in terms of celebration. So not only celebration, but just attitude, from throwing a ball out in center field, everything like that when he was with Cleveland and all that. But, they didn't even really replace Tanaka, let Paxton walk. I'm not really upset with letting Paxton go. I just don't think he was cut out for pinstripes. You always talk about guys coming over and they just can't handle New York. I think that was a simple case with him. But I know I've been preaching ever since we've been doing this show together. You still got to keep adding pitching. That's all it is. And got Garrett Cole now, got him last year, and still nothing really to go with him after losing Tanaka, who's been such a reliable third or fourth rotation day guy.
All right, well, I'll go. I agree with that. I think it's a good general assessment. What do you think was the best move they made? Was it the DJ contract?
Oh, without a doubt. If there was a matter of fact where I actually thought they were going to let him walk, and if they did, I honestly would have just freaked out. It's just, I'm not normally one to freak out when it comes to, the Yankees not going after guys or getting guys, but he's hands down your best player, hands down, since he's been on the team.
Yeah, and creative use of the contract length to get around the AAV for the luxury tax. I know you don't want to pay him at 38, but the savings do help you stay under the tax this year, which is apparently a consideration for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're always Brian Cashman. I remember him saying, I think it was what, 2, maybe 3 years ago, saying, hey, we want to just drastically cut down on the luxury tax after I think it was like 5+ years of constantly going over it.
Yeah.
So now they're all about, the Yankees are all about, the budget now as opposed to just spend.
Yeah. Will, what do you think the best move they made this offseason was?
I mean, the easy one is definitely DJ, but I thought the Jameson Tyone trade, I think it's a great move. I know he's coming back off injury and he's had health concerns in the past, but like this is a guy who I think was like a former, if not a number one, like a early first round pick, I believe. And
yeah, he was. Right.
And he's pitched really well at times that he's played. And, I'll give you the worst move right now too, just to get out of the way. Cause they're sort of said it. Just not bringing back Tanaka baffled me. I don't know why they didn't do it. Just I get being under the tax and stuff, but Tanaka was, and you actually, Mike, you said it like way early, maybe in quarantine when we were talking about baseball, and you were like the Yankee, some fans just don't value Tanaka like they should, and I just feel like there's something about it just felt weird that they just let him go, and I thought that was a bad move not bringing him back, but maybe you replace it with a Tyone because Tyone is younger, has more upside, and that's my best move though. I gave you the best and the worst in one.
Yeah, I think they did thread the needle nice at the Tyone trade where they're trying to find a starter, trying to find an upside and get a low AAV value for the luxury tax, and they get really nothing for the Pirates to get him. So good job there. But the Tanaka thing does boggle my mind, Anthony, because as I said this many times, he gives you innings. He gives you a solid like high 3s, low 4s ERA. He'll give you a lot of starts. He's a good postseason pitcher. And they just do not value that. I feel like the past couple of years, they've been so quick to try and just bury him in the rotation. I mean, back in 19, the playoffs, they were bringing Severino back with the opener, and they were going to start him after 3 games just to, avoid having Tanaka pitch early in the series. That just made no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, just echoing off of what Will said is, I think the Yankees to some degree, but especially fans, just didn't value Tanaka, what he could do day in and day out every time he would get the ball to go start. But also, I'm curious too, because being that he did go back to Japan, I'm wondering if he, had it set in his mind that once his contract was over, that he was going to go back to Japan no matter what. So the Yankees could have offered an absurd amount of money and he still probably would have said no and went back to Japan. So we don't know entirely what the Yankees, train of thought was on that. But again, if I'm Cashman, if I'm the rest of that front office, I'm doing everything I can to try to keep him.
Yeah, the thing that would terrify me as a Yankee fan is the way the rotation is set up right now. Obviously, you have the ace, you have Garrett Cole, he's phenomenal. But beyond that, it's paper thin because everything has to go right for this to be a very good rotation. I know the East sucks, and Tampa gave away 2 starters in the offseason, so they're going to come back to the pack a little bit. But Corey Kluber has made 8 starts in 2 years. He was bad for most of the first one before he got hurt. That's going to make 1 start. Tyone hasn't pitched in 2 years. Luis Severino is coming off a Tommy John. We don't know when he's going to be back. Domingo Germán's coming off domestic violence suspension. You don't know when he's coming back. You have a whole bunch of young guys with Davey Garcia, Clark Schmidt, Michael King. Jordan Montgomery was probably the second most dependable guy in that group right now. His ERA was over 5 last year. So ask a Met fan last year. Will knows the 2020 Met rotation had a lot of paper clips, rubber bands, and duct tape, and that thing fell apart pretty fast. That's something I'll be concerned about if I was you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I touched on it before. Is this they didn't get anybody when they lost Tanaka. They didn't go after and get anybody really. You bring in Corey Kluber, but he hasn't been, the Corey Kluber of past in at least 3 years. So I don't really know what you're trying to just, put a cork in a boat that's rapidly sinking.
Yeah, Will, I feel like, are you having the bad 2020 Met flashbacks the way that rotation's built?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Rick Porcello, man. Just, oh my gosh. But it's like that rotation though, like, I guess if you're just like a betting guy gambler, hey, okay, it's either going to be really freaking good or it's going to be like
horrible.
Yeah, because, okay, like you went through it all. Okay, Severino, maybe he comes back and he is phenomenal again. Corey Kluber, maybe he finds a little bit of that form. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that Corey Kluber is going to be the guy who won Cy Young. It's just ridiculous. The guy pitches to a 3.6, you should be happy. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's just, unless you're going to get something in the season, which doesn't feel like it's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Davey Garcia, in my opinion, the way they went about him was bizarre. Like, just let the guy go out there and pitch, and I thought he pitched well, but Yeah, I really don't know how to gauge the Yankees. I just don't. We're not accustomed to this kind of being the offseason, right? And like all things considered, it's
It's a well-planned Met offseason, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, like in a way, but they still like spent money and made savvy moves. Like Tyone is great. Like Kluber for what was it, 11? Like that's like a big, substantial enough contract for a year. But I just like, I don't know. I really don't know how to gauge the Yankees. I really don't, because it just feels like it kind of feels like they don't really know their identity right now.
I think they're just trying to rely too heavily on, the big names that they have for the offense, as opposed to building a well-formed, just overall team.
Well,
they're kind of relying on, Judge, Stanton, if he's ever healthy.
Well, I was just about to say, like, unfortunately for them, they just kind of like tied their boat to him, and they went out and got their white whale and Garrett Cole, which like they had to do, and they paid him a ton to do it, and he's damn good. But it is like, the more I think about it, that Stanton deal it really is just like immobilizing them in a way.
Yeah, I think the problem here as well is sort of like, you look at this, they're like, okay, we want to let the kids take those spots here. We want to have a cheap young rotation with Davey Garcia, Michael King, Clark Schmidt. We can't trust them to do it yet. So here comes Corey Kluber. Here comes Tyone. Here's Jordan Montgomery just eating a slot. So we want to be cheap and young and have that so we can pay our offensive guys down the line. But I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to have issues when it gets to the postseason. I think in terms of my grade for the offseason, I think it's a B- on the strength of the DJ re-signing, which is a very good contract for them, even though you have to pay until he's 38. But the rest of that deal, the rest of the offseason, overpaying Kluber made no sense to me, because just you want a guy in there with who's going to give you innings here and give you an opportunity to sort of be the stabilizer in the second spot. Kluber has massive upside, but the downside is dramatic, because if he's not who he is, your whole rotation falls apart, because you're waiting on Severino a while. The bullpen didn't do much either. I mean, Darren O'Day's a nifty little move, but I mean, they could have used a big time guy back there after they basically salary dumped Adam Ottavino just to get rid of his contract. So I think B-. What about you, Anthony? What's your grade?
I'm actually going to go with a C-. I don't like it I don't like it at all. Bringing DJ back was huge, but you lose a big arm, in Tanaka, and just the lack of moves. You don't even try to fill the slot with losing Tanaka. You don't try to, I don't even think there was talks or rumors of them even attempting to go after Bauer.
Well, that was a different price point also, and Bauer has feuded with Garrett Cole in the past. That's not a dynamic you want to bring in your locker room.
Yeah, but still, I mean, at that point, if you want to win World Series, you kind of got to suck it up. But I get that too. There's all forms of semantics and everything, but there's plenty of moves they could have made, and they just they didn't do it in free agent. The Yankees are known for spending. You look at the offseason of 2008 heading into 2009 when they were in the World Series, and look who they brought in then. You bring in AJ Burnett, CC Sabathia, and then Teixeira. Those three guys, and you get a World Series out of it, and they have nothing really to show for it this year other than bringing back DJ LeMahieu.
Okay, so I'm at a B-. Andy's at a C-. Will, you gonna be in the middle of us, or are you going in one of our directions?
No, I was gonna go right with like that B- range, but or like a B. My thing is though, like I just kind of feel like it's like just hard to grade them. Yeah, I think it's just we're not used to it. That's just not what we're used to at the Yankees. So like I kind of feel like a lot of the uncertainty we have is somewhat warranted, because there is some like margin for error, but also some of the uncertainty is like, well, that's weird. The Yankees usually just like are active. So I kind of like, I don't know, it's like a out answer, but you just don't know, because okay, maybe it is like, I mean, that roster, okay, you do have Judge, you do have good players already on there. You got to, maybe they just think, all right, this is what we got, and we're trying to cut. We don't want to go over that tax, so we feel strongly about it. So, I mean, like I think that's what it is. I think we're just used to a different Yankees approach than this offseason.
Yeah, I think we do. Let's go around the league real quick. We'll each pick a team here. So, Anthony, go to you first. Like, apart from the locals here, which team impressed you the most this offseason?
I teeter-totter. I don't want to say the Dodgers because I feel like that's the easy answer, but I feel like it's kind of going under the radar. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals, grabbing why am I blanking on his name? I know who it is. I just can't think of the name. It's Nolan Arenado. There we go. grabbing Nolan Arenado is a huge thing after adding Goldschmidt, and the year before that, they're also Yachty's coming back for another year, and it's just going to be they're going to be. Seems like they're always there, but just people just seem to forget about them.
Yeah, and the Cards literally might have won the Central by doing something when everyone else did nothing. That's basically the story of their offseason. They did a big something.
Yeah, I mean, you go out there and you grab top two, probably the top third baseman in the whole league
For nothing.
without a doubt.
And you got paid a lot of his salary to take him off the Rockies' hands. It was even dumber by Colorado.
Yeah.
All right, Will, how about you? Who is your top offseason team?
The Padres. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like, I love what they did. Just, you think you got it? You think you can go for it? Go for it, baby. Go. You Darvish, bring him in. Blake Snell, bring him in. Keep Tatis around. I mean, just phenomenal offseason. And what I love about it is, like, they made the playoffs last year. They saw how they kind of stacked up against the Dodgers. So they said, screw it. We want to be better than the Dodgers. We're going to be aggressive in doing so. And I love that. I love seeing that. We don't see it enough in sports today. Just teams like throwing everything at it. Let's just go make a run at this thing.
Yeah, the Padres killed this offseason. The Tatis extension is also very nice. I'm going to also go, for the sake of being different, I'll go to Toronto because Toronto, I think, had a very good offseason. They made some early pitching moves, and getting George Springer for them was huge because they are a very young team. They need a center fielder. They have to pay more, obviously, to the Canada tax and to get people up there. But adding a guy like that to that team, to be the leader, to be a guy who can help this team become winners, I love that move. And Toronto was act in on everybody. They landed a big fish. Blue Jays are all my big offseason winners.
I like it. Get a good veteran in there, a guy who can do a lot. And that's a roster that's either give him give him a year.
That's going to be scary.
Well, unfortunately for you.
That's going to be scary.
They're coming. They're coming fast.
Oh yeah. If it's not this year, it's definitely probably the year after.
All right, let's go to let's go to the worst team of the offseason. Who really let you down, Anthony?
I mean, personally, I want to say the Yankees, but I'm not going to take the easy cop out. But I'll go with teeter-totter just a little bit. I'm gonna say not for who they didn't sign or for who they let go, but I'm just gonna say the Boston Red Sox just because bringing back Alex Cora as a manager, I don't like that at all. I don't think it's a good thing for baseball. I don't think it doesn't sit right with me. I don't know.
Plus, the offseason, they did not do much. After they made a big deal how they wanted to let Mookie Betts go to get under the tax, they really did so many pitching problems. And who'd they sign? Like, who was their big pitching move?
Exactly. There was no big move. Their big move in the offseason was re-signing Alex Cora after, firing him for a year while he was suspended.
All
right, Will, worst team of the offseason. Who disappointed you the most?
There's a few, but I mean, Cleveland. Listen, they gave us the guy. So, but Colorado though, it's just like, I don't know. You just threw a guy away, and then you're gonna probably let a shortstop walk in the offseason. Trevor Story. I think that, but I'm gonna say the Rockies. I have a few others to mention, but I'm sure you might mention one of them.
Yeah, the Rockies thing. The thing that bothers me the most about that one, they were high on my list, is like you have done nothing with Nolan Arenado for several years now. You knew he's going to opt out. You had some leverage here because he had to extend his opt out there with the Cardinals, make sure he could stay. They did not get one of the Cardinals' top 10 prospects. They gave the Cardinals $50 million to take him off their hands and got nothing back. That's like the reverse Brody trade with the Mets, where they got no prospects and they took all the money. It makes no sense.
No, it's bad for baseball. I don't know. You had him there. You had him, literally one of the best players in baseball, and it's just, I don't know. How do you let that happen, man? Just for nothing. We'll give you money. You don't have to give us anything. There's the top. Take the best third baseman in baseball.
Yes, we can't use him. You do something with him.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's a bunch. I can just hammer the bottom of the league. The guys who are, again, just doing nothing, like the Pirates, who are basically anybody with a salary is getting thrown overboard just to get like lesser paid prospects in the building. I'm also going to ding the Cubs very, very hard here because this is one who this team just won the division. This core won the World Series 5 years ago. We are dumping Yu Darvish to get rid of his salary. We are talking about shopping Chris Bryant. We cut Kyle Schwarber to save money. We did not do much of anything in the offseason. What are we doing here, guys?
They got Jock Peterson.
Whoopee. I'm going to have a parade down Wrigleyville after this. I mean, you look at this roster. This team still has a lot of talent on it. I know all the contracts coming up. You got to spend the money here to keep that core together because this team can win. They just won a division title in the offseason. They made the playoffs many years with this group. And they're throwing it all away because the owner doesn't want to lose more money, which is, to me, the problem with the sport these days.
It's just so bizarre. Isn't it weird? Like when they were coming up, you're like, wow, this is the team, right? The Cubs, like they've only paid one of those guys, Rizzo. Like, I mean, they want to get rid of Wilson Contreras. They want to like ship out Ryan, obviously. Like Javi Baez is a free agent this offseason, I believe. Just really shocking. I mean, I thought the Cubs were about to be when like they were the next dynasty. Like, under Theo, they're going to win 4 and 6 years or something. And this has not been the case. And yeah, they just seem to be selling everything off that they can. And it's just, I mean, I get it. Like you're trying to save money in this unprecedented time, but it's just crazy to think in a year this team might not have Chris Bryant or Javi Baez on it.
I also want to give a demerit to the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know if you guys saw the baseball prospectus projected standings and percentages of playoff chance to make the playoffs. They gave the Baltimore Orioles, before camp opens, a 0.0% chance of making the postseason.
Come on.
They basically said the Orioles, do not show up. Do not even bother playing these games. You have no chance of going to the playoffs.
They said the Orioles are worse than math. Like how mathematically they can make the playoffs, but they said they cannot.
They even gave the Pirates a 0.4% chance. The Orioles got a 0.0 on the scale from the baseball prospectus.
They got Matt Harvey and Felix Hernandez now, so maybe in 2013 that'd be a great rotation.
Yeah,
This is just the problem with this game. And you could basically just point to like 10 teams, say they have no shot this year. They are not going anywhere. And you can basically throw a third of the sport out. That's what the problem with baseball is right now.
I think, not to go in a rabbit hole, I think in most sports it really is. Yeah, you have the bottom half that says, okay, we're just going to go for a draft pick and save money. Then you have like the top, 5 or 6 teams that are trying to go for it. And then kind of like, yeah, it's either one extreme or another. The tanking culture, I think, has ruined sports. And
I'll put it this way. Like, I'm talking about a legal guy, Phil Frieda next, and he brings this point up a couple of times in the podcast. But great point. Like Trevor Bauer this offseason. How many teams in the league would not be better with Trevor Bauer in the rotation?
None. Every team.
Yeah. Exactly.
And how many teams were actually in the mix for him at the end? 2.
Yep.
That's a problem.
It is. And that's just how it's just unfortunately, it's crazy.
Yeah, they should Trevor, when Tom Brady was a free agent last year, I'm sure half the league that had cap room was calling to make a pitch to him to come down and help their team.
Absolutely.
One of the best, when the guy who won the Cy Young and has had good years, 2 of the last 3 years, hits the market. Only 2 teams? That makes no sense.
Yeah, same as Springer, everything. Yeah, it's wild. It's got to figure it out because it's bad. It's just not. You're almost like, it feels like you're punishing them for being good in a way at some point where it's like, okay, like what if Bauer is like, well, I don't want to go to either team, but they're the ones who want to pay me. So,
yeah.
Yeah, let's also go quickly around the horn here. We'll wrap up here with the best move of the offseason, worst move. So, Anthony, best move of the offseason is?
Cardinals.
Arenado.
Yep, Arenado.
Will, best move of the offseason is?
Frankie Lindor. Come on. Let's go.
I'm going to – I like both those moves. I will go with the Blake Snell trade for the Padres. That was a big game-changing trade. Like that and the Darvish double down.
Don't take him out when he's cruising in the World Series.
Yeah, well, he's not got that problem now. Kevin Cash and the stat nerds aren't running his team over there. All right. Worst move, Anthony, of the offseason was?
I'm going to go with the Rays with losing Blake Snell.
Oh,
that's a major hit to a team that was just in the World Series last year.
Yeah, and to be fair with Tampa, I do give them the benefit of the doubt long term because they seem to have an idea what they're doing. But this year it hurts.
Yeah.
Will, worst move is?
I'm going to say it because I want to be controversial. I think Trevor Bauer is going to be – I think it's going to backfire mightily out there. I just don't – you're paying him $40 million. God, good luck. It's almost unfair that he has to, like, even live up to – like, if he's, like, a mid-rotation guy, that's terrible. That's really not good.
And he's already getting in fights with the fans. He's getting like heat from the media about his controversial like Twitter posts. So that might not go well.
Oh, it's not even because I'm bitter. Like, the Mets didn't get it. Like, literally, it's because we said in that group chat when the dollar amount came out, I was like, what? No way. That's a lot of dough, man. So there's like you have to live up to the expectations when that happens. You're getting paid more than DeGrom, Scherzer, all these guys. So that could look miserable at the end of the season.
I will go back to the obvious here. I know I want to keep dinging the Cubs for just giving away Yu Darvish for a bag of baseballs to get rid of his salary, but the Rockies gave Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals and paid them $50 million to do so, and did not get back one of the organization's top 10 prospects in return. They got back 4 decent prospects, did not get one of the very good ones in the system for the best third baseman in baseball. That's a major fail by the organization.
Yeah, they didn't seem like they really cared too much.
No, it's almost like it was a relief to get rid of him.
Oh no, it absolutely was. Oh my gosh, this was literally like so reminiscent of the A-Rod trade back in when did he leave Tech? The A-Rod Tech trade 05?
4.
04? That was like what it felt like. Oh wow, this is a big contract after all. Maybe we should.
Maybe we shouldn't have given it to him.
Yeah, they're like, okay, who wants him? Oh, we'll pay you to take him too. Okay.
Yeah, like don't stop us before we change our minds. Here, take the money.
Yeah, which is the scary part of it, that they paid to get rid of him.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, isn't the deal like the Cardinals are paying him like $150 for like 6 years or something like that? Like
that's a bargain.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's absurd.
For a platinum glove, silver slugging, MVP candidate, all-star third baseman
in his prime.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. But I think that's a good place to leave before we go further off the rails. We'll just let the Rockies like twist in the wind a little bit. Well, thank you guys for hopping on. I'll give you a chance to plug your social medias. Anthony, how you follow your social media? Keep us on stuff you're up to.
Yeah, check me out on Instagram at Sorbellini Photos. Just getting ready for the cross country and MAC basketball championships in a couple of weeks, and just hopefully things are in the works to possibly shoot a Yankee game coming up. So fingers crossed for that. But yeah, check me out there.
Stay tuned. Will, how about you? How you go on some of the stuff you're doing? Follow you on social media.
Oh yeah, I'm on Twitter at Will Schneider H1, and I'm just right now writing a few things. We're just kind of late. I'm been reaching out to a lot of people and stuff and focusing on trying to secure the next step. So truthfully, if you follow me right now, it's probably not going to be that active. Give me a follow if you want. I'm going to be pumping some in the next month or two. There'll be a few NFL things going up on there.
You want to get in on the ground floor.
What's that?
So you wanted to get in on the ground floor.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll remember that. Right? I'll remember you.
Hey, you'll be one of the real ones he'll remember when he makes it big.
Let's hope.
All right, guys. Thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we're going to talk about some of the COVID rules and some more baseball odds and ends with our legal guy, Phil Freyetta, right after this. All right. We are good with that. So